So I started them off by saying, what's x plus 3 squared? And I know a ton of kids would have said x plus 9. But now I don't think they will because I warned them. It's not that. It's this. Go ahead and get that all multiplied out and check with the kid next to you. I'm not going to make you slide next to them, but just turn your iPad towards. These two rows, compare. These two rows, compare straight across. These two, you compare forward and backwards. Nora, make sure you compare both directions. All right, also unplug headphones and cell phones off the desks. Nora, can you remove this? Thank you. All right, so here we go. Did you have x squared for that? And then the outside and the inside make 3x, and another 3x makes 6x. And then 3 times 3 makes 9. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. That's a trap that so many people... Do you get why people think it's x squared plus 9? Man, it just seems so tempting to just kind of like distribute the squared. And this is not it. It's this. They're close, but they're not the same thing. All right. Here's the next one. We need to factor so much that I'm just going to remind you how to factor. Would you please factor this? We came into this year where only half the kids knew how to factor. By now, I hope you're all there. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to compare with the kid next to you. Not quite yet, but give them a minute. I think of this as 3 steps. Christian, what do I need to put here and here to make the x squared happen? Wait, just these 2 spots, here and here. X and x. Okay, good. And now, you said plus 9, and you're not wrong, but I would rather just do it in stages. First, I say x and x. Second stage, I say plus and minus. How do I know that? Because the 2 numbers need to multiply to a negative. I'm going to highlight them. These 2 spots here, they will multiply to a negative. Do you get how one of them has to be negative, but they can't both be negative? Because a positive times a negative makes a negative. And then the last thing is the numbers, and you said 9, and I'm going to put the 9 here. What if I put the 9 here by accident? How would I know I was wrong? A lot of kids probably even do have that, and you are wrong when you maybe didn't even know it. How would you know you were wrong? Noah, how can you prove to the kid? Let's say the kid turns to you and says, no, it's this. And you're like, because this would be negative 9x and this would be positive 1x. And you're right, that would make negative 8x. We wanted positive 8x. Whenever you get the opposite of what you want, you switch the signs around. So then this becomes the plus and this becomes the minus 1. Okay. That's factoring. So critical. All right, next thing is, let's say that I had this. Everybody write this down, please. 2x minus 1 and x plus 5. It's already factored. What do you want me to do? Well, you tell me what you think the question would be. If it's already been factored, then what's the question? What do you think they want? Nope, not multiply it out. That's a good guess, but nope, not multiplying it out. Noah. Yes, what are the x's? X equals this and x equals that. And a lot of people go, oh yeah, that's that one where I just go the opposite of this number. So negative 5 and positive 1. No, that's wrong. Okay, one of them's right. Cooper, do you know which one of these 2 answers I wrote is actually right?
Negative 5.
Yep, that one works. Because it makes this 0. That's the point of that. It's because that makes it equal to 0. But does me putting a 1 in right here make this equal to 0? No, it does not. So Iris, we need to fix this one. Do you know how to do it?
Divide by 2.
2x minus 1 equals 0. You will eventually divide by 2, but tell me how to start. Notice I set this equal to 0. And now, do you know what to do? Eli, you know what to do?
Plus 1 to both sides.
Plus 1 on both sides. Everybody do that. Then, Iris, that's when you divide by 2. 1/2. What is 1/2? It's the special number that when you put it here, it'll make this equal 0. That makes it a 0. It also makes it an x-intercept. Okay, cool. Those are the two answers. -5.5. All right. The next thing is, do you even remember how to add things that have unlike denominators? We just had a whole unit on it. But I bet you, sadly, some people have forgotten already. Get a common denominator and add it all up. Mr. Kerr, tell me what to do.
Make the common denominator 10.
All right. So if I times this by 2, I'll get 10. So what does that tell you?
The top is 8.
Yep, top is also times by 2, which makes it 8. Good. And over on the other side, Veda, tell me what to do over here. 5 and 5. That makes this 5, and this 8, and the 5 and 8 makes 13 over 10. Can you leave answers that way? Yes. In my class, that's fine. Could you also say 1 and 3/10? Yeah, you can. But I actually like this better, because you'll never see 1 and 3/10 x in an equation. But you will see 13/10 x in an equation. So you never do this. That's why we don't really like mixed numbers for this class, because we do this all the time. See how improper fractions aren't improper? They're fine. Okay. Next thing, if I said this, I hope this is insultingly easy. What's the y-intercept? Maybe we've forgotten this. Say it if you know it. 5. The y-intercept is that number at the end. That's 5. And then what's this 2?
Slope.
That's the slope. So what if I put a 12x minus 5 here? So now what's the slope? 12, and what's the y-intercept? -5. So you just, if you had to graph this, you go down to -5, you put a dot there, and your slope would be 12, so it'd be like super steep. You get the basics of that? So how can we make it more complicated? What if we put a 2 here? Do you get all of a sudden the slope isn't 12 anymore? And the y-intercept isn't 5 anymore? What would you have to do to get the slope and the y-intercept? Well, you do something to both sides. What do? You don't know? It's really easy. Just got to get the y alone. Divide by 2. Why is that any better? Because now it's y equals. And 12 divided by 2 I can do in my head. What is 12 divided by 2? 6x minus, and then what the heck is 5 over 2? Make it as a decimal. It's so much easier. What's half of 5? You and your splendor friend are splitting $5 that you made to help the neighbor do something. 2.5, 250. So, do you see how I just took one extra step? All right. Then, the next thing, by now almost everybody knows this, but not everybody. I hope this is like, oh, that's easy for most of you. For a couple of you, I'll have to remind you. Did you remember that it's bottom one gets flipped? So then it's 10/12. Can you reduce 10/12? Yeah. But do you get that? That's how you get the 10/12. And then I like to reduce that by going like this. 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 2 is 12. Why did I do that? So these will cancel, and the answer is 5, 6. All right, I hope that one was an easy one. I was dividing fractions. All right, this next one, I'm amazed at how many people struggle with it. People get baffled by this kind, but I'm just going to remind you, that's like a separate problem. Just Can you reduce that? That's one thing. Then, do you know how to reduce that when there's like x's on the bottom and the top? Do you know what to do? And then just leave the y on top because there's nothing else that goes with it. So the answer will be a fraction and there'll be a y on the top. You just got to figure out what the rest is. Now, for those that struggle with things like this, just make this 5 be a 5 times 1 and let the 25 be a 5 times 5. That is called factoring. And if you can factor it, you should, because then things like that can cancel. And then you get 1/5. Do you get how I did that? I think that's the easy way. I know you were taught a whole bunch of different ways at the elementary school to reduce, and then the middle school probably taught you other things to reduce. I don't think anybody does it this way, and I think it's an awesome, easy way. Change 25 to 5 times 5, and then the 5s will cancel. Is that it? Oh, there's still some x's. Eli, what do you think we do with the x's?
You cancel out one x from each part, and it would be x squared.
So like this x cancels, but I don't cancel all 3 of the x's because this is really like x times x times x. Just cancel one of them. So x squared on the bottom still. That works. That's the hardest thing. Do you get what you just did there? Yeah, okay, good. So 1 over 5x squared, raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. Then the last 2 things. Here's the second to last one. 4 times 3 plus 2 plus 1. And if I don't throw in a negative, then that usually it makes it a little too easy. So I'm going to put a negative right there. All right. Can you just go from left to right? That's the most common thing people want to do. No, you can't. There's a whole thing about what order you got to do stuff in. Remember PEMDAS? PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Is it because she did something terrible? No, it's just to remind you of parentheses are first. So I go inside the parentheses and then what? You got even more parentheses. Inside the parentheses, there's an inside the parentheses. So you got to start with that. And this 2 plus 1 is 3. And then I can do one more thing before I rewrite it. 3 minus 3. Why did I do that next? Because it's still in a parentheses. So the order on this, I'm telling you, out of all the ones we just did, more kids get this wrong than anything else. Because you can't, kids get confused on what goes first. All right, and 3 minus 3 is 0, and then 4 times 0 is 0. The answer for this one's 0. You got to do it in the right order. All right, so I'm going to give you one more like that. See if you can hang with it. Negative 4 parentheses 2 plus 3 parentheses 1 minus 4 parentheses parentheses. Can you get the order right? August, what do you think is first? The negative 4 gets distributed? The 2 gets added to the 3? That's very tempting. A lot of people do that. Well, I'll just do the 2 plus 3 part. No, you can't start with add. What do you start with? Yes, that is negative 3. And then I'm going to rewrite the problem just to make it extra clear what we're supposed to do. Because then people a lot of times do the first thing right, and then they're like, well, I'll just do whatever I want now. You got to be really careful. You cannot add next. Okay, so now what could I have to do next? I have to do this next. I don't have a choice. I have to go 3 times negative 3 makes negative 9. And a lot of people do this wrong. Because they really want to do the 2 plus 3, but you can't. You never do the 2 plus 3. This is done. And now you do 2 plus negative 9. And that makes negative 7. And I've written so much, I got to recopy the problem. You can't just scribble stuff out. Got to recopy the problem with the negative 7 there. And then 7 times 4 is 28. There's 2 negatives, positive 28. Did anybody beat me to 28 before I said it? Cool. And then last melon, 4a to the third b. All of that times a to the 7th. Oh, so many people get confused here. Oh, wait. There one more thing in. Square that. That red squared, don't forget to include the red squared. Now this is about power rules. Do you know what to do with the red 2 and the black 3? Some people are going to think we add them. Some people are going to think we multiply them. And they can't both be right. A ton of kids are going to have to take the 4 and just write 4 in their answer. Why is that wrong? There is not a 4 in your answer. Why? Oh, maybe some of you would have got burned there. This 4 has to get squared. There's a 16 in your answer. And that a to the third to the second, I'm just going off to the side just to show you what it looks like. That, the a to the third that got put to the second, I get. It's really confusing. Do I add them? Do I multiply them? Let me show you this. Would you agree a to the third is really a? That's what a to the third means. Now you can't look at that and think, oh, I wonder if it's a to the fifth. There's no way that could be a to the fifth. It doesn't make any sense. A to the second is a to the sixth. So this is to the sixth. I know some of you just knew that, but other people are like, I don't know, is it to the fifth or to the sixth? That's how you can tell that it's to the sixth. A to the sixth, and then the B. Well, that's pretty easy. There's a 1 here. And this, we just figured out from this that you multiply these two. So 1 times 2 is 2, b to the second. But then I have times a to the 7th out here, and that really messes some people up. But don't overthink it. I got a to the 6th. I got a to the 7th. That makes a to the something. And we just did the kind where you multiply. Does this look like it's the same exact thing? No, so it's not multiply. It's a to the 13th. And it's a 16, and this is a b squared. The only thing I just did is that this got added to this. And to times, sorry, I said added, that's wrong. The powers got added. There's your answer. Did anybody beat me to that answer? Okay. So there, that was a lot, but that's all really important basics review of algebra. None of that was like super complicated. It was just old little putsy rules that you got to be good at. Okay. Well, that, my friends, is the first half of the first 20. I've been doing basic 20 with you until now. I got an average in here of about like 17 out of 20 on the basic 20. And I know some of you are like, yeah, I keep getting like 4 on that. If we could get that fixed, you would be so much better at math. But most of you now are in the teens on the basic 20. This is 20 more questions of algebra. We just went over 10 topics. And we're going to do this, but not quite yet. I need to review with you, because otherwise, if I give you this 20 question quiz, you're going to be so fried at the end of the hour, you won't even be able to listen anymore, okay? So we're just going to do these 10 questions, which will take you like literally 10 minutes at the end of the hour. We're going to do this at the end of the hour, okay? So what are we really doing? Well, do you get that today is a review day for our next test, and then tomorrow's the actual last review day, and then we actually have a test? What the heck is it on? The test that's on Wednesday. What's it on? It's on things like this. Let's just keep it super simple. Could you find me 3 points that are on this XY chart? Find me 3 points that are on this test, on this graph. That's called an exponential, is it growth or decay? Growth. That's called an exponential growth. You got to find 3 points on it. Oh, and the asymptote. Rena, can you tell me some 3 easy numbers I could put in for x?
-1, 0, 1.
Perfect. On an easy problem, those are the best choices. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to share these 3 points and see if you got the same answers as the kid next to you. Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, when you stuck in -1, did you remember that that makes the 2 flip to 1/2? How many of you had 1/2 for that? Good. And you put in 0. Did you remember that anything to the 0 is 1? And then when you put in 1, did you have 2 to the 1, which is 2? There's my 3 points. And if I made it graph kind of like this, does that make sense for exponential growth? No, that'd be exponential decay. So my graph must have went the other way, and it kind of looks like that. And then do you remember that the asymptote runs along here? There's nothing outside this fraction, so there's like a 0, so it's y equals 0. If there'd been a plus 10 here, do you get the asymptote would have moved up 10 and it would have been y equals 10 asymptote? That's the horizontal asymptote. If there had been a 10 here, the whole thing would have moved up 10 spots and then it would have all been up there. Okay. So here's another type of question we can ask you. Negative 2 to the x minus 1 plus 3. Where is the horizontal asymptote? Hint. It starts with y. Riker, y equals what?
3.
Yes. If you had to graph this thing, do you guys get that we just could go do, 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 do? There's an asymptote right there. Has to be. Even though there's a negative here? Yup. Even though there's a negative there. Oh, wait a minute. Or would that affect it? Maybe it would. Oh, no. I'm actually in a crisis. I don't know. I don't remember if that's going to make a negative asymptote or not. You know how I'm going to find out? I'm going to find 3 points. Everybody, XY chart. Let's find 3 points. Here's another way they could ask the question. Nora, has this thing been reflected? Yes. Which way? Vertical or horizontal? Hint. Horizontal's on the inside. Vertical is on the outside. Vertical reflect is correct. That plus 3 was an up 3. How about this minus 1 in there? Right or left 1? Right 1. So that's what these things mean. This means up 3. This means right 1. And this means vertical reflect. We will review this stuff tomorrow, but this is the last review problem I'm doing today. And then the rest of the time, you just get to work on this little worksheet. And then we'll start a Schoology quiz 2. Okay, I personally would have put in 0 and 1 and negative 1, and I would have just seen if it worked nice. Once I stuck in a 0, I'm realizing it's working pretty good because negative 1 powers are easy. They just flip this over and it becomes a half, and then it becomes negative a half. Negative a half plus 3 makes 2.5. So when I put in a 0, I got a 2.5. Can anybody verify I'm right? I think I'm right. Okay, good. A lot of people are saying yes. Now I'm going to go stick in the 1 here. 1 goes here. 1 minus 1 is 0 power. Ooh, cool. Anything to the 0 power, including all... No, careful. Just this part to the 0 power becomes 1. And then the negative goes on later because it's outside the parentheses. So negative 1 plus 3 makes 2. It would have been really easy to goober that point up if you put the negative on in the wrong time. Some people think, oh, everything, there's a 0 power, everything turns into 1. No, this turns into 1 when it was a 0 power. Okay, and last but not least, I put in a negative 1, and then I have a power of negative 2, and that means I would probably have grabbed my calculator. You'd have negative 2 to the negative 2 plus 3, and I'll be your calculator this time. The 2 squared is 4. The negative flips it to 1/4. That makes it negative 1/4 plus 3. 2.75. Your calculator would have done it for you if you were careful. You would have got 2.75. All right, now I'm going to graph those. 0, 2.5. 1, 2. Negative 1, 2.75. Oof. I got to check that with a calculator. Okay, a student helped me find my mistake. I just graphed them wrong. Sorry about that. These points are right. So 0, 2.5 would be really close to 0, 3 right here. It'd be like right there. And this is where 3 is. Okay, and then 1, 2, and then negative 1, 2.75 is even higher. And there. That kind of looks like it's flipped over from this. It's supposed to be flipped over because of the negative in front. So it actually worked. Yay. Okay. That's a reminder of what kind of stuff is on your test. We will have an official review day tomorrow. And everybody, to start with, right now open your Schoology and just do problem 1 of the Schoology quiz. Problem 1 of the Schoology quiz. So everybody find that. And then these 10 questions off the worksheet are going to be so easy at the end of the hour. But first, Schoology quiz, number 1. Vivian, would you read me number 1?
Y equals 0.2 to the x.
And right away, I'm thinking that's less than 1, so this is decay. What's the question?
The following exponential function is a growth model, true or false?
Right away, as long as this is smaller than 1, it's decay. So is it a growth model? False. Number 2. Noah, would you read me number 2?
Negative, and then parentheses, the negative power of x.
Negative x?
Yeah,
Okay, what do they want to know about it?
and then plus 7.
Oh, plus 7?
Yeah.
Is it up in the power or is it outside?
Is it, it's outside.
Okay, because there's a difference. I just want to make sure you get everybody. That stuff out here is up and down. And if he had wanted me to put it up by the x, then it would have been inside and it would have meant left 7. Okay, so this one means up 7. And what do they want out of us for number 2, Noah?
They want us to graph.
All right, but this is a Schoology quiz, so how the heck are we supposed to graph it? You're just supposed to find which of the graphs at multiple choice?
I guess like the points.
Oh, they want some points? I believe you. Just so tell me, what should I stick in, like 0 or 1, or does it tell me what to stick in?
X table.
Oh, so it's got an XY table and they tell me the points. What do they want me to put in? 0, 1, 2, anything?
Yeah.
Does it tell you which points to put in, or you get to pick?
I don't know.
All right, everybody put in 0. And we will get something. If I put in 0, this becomes 0. Anything to the 0 is 1, but this negative is still negative. Yeah, this part's 1. So, what do you think? 0 gives us, Rena, what do you get?
6.
Correct, 0, 6. I'm a little confused on how I'm supposed to enter it. Does it say like I'm supposed to make points, or?
It says the 3 main parent point values, but it doesn't say which ones to.
Uh-oh. I'm going to delete question 2. I don't like it, so it's going to disappear. I'm going to hold on a second. Okay, we fixed up the quiz so it doesn't have this problem on it anymore because that was confusing. Number 3. Or 2, actually, for you guys. So number 2. Veda, would you read it to me, please?
Is the below exponential function an example for decay? Y equals 10 over 2 to the x.
I could put a parentheses here, by the way. And do you get that would really just be like 5 to the x? So that's easier to tell. It's growth or decay. Okay, so let's read number 3. Just get to number 3. Purchase the motorcycle question. You're going to have to do this. You put the starting amount times 1 plus the rate to the time. That equation is going to be given to you on the test. And there's another one for exponential kind, you guys remember this one? P times e to the RT. That's a different equation you'll need. So these equations are going to be given to you in the test. And I'm giving them to you now because the Schoology quiz might not have them, so you can write them down somewhere. You need those. Okay, cool. And then for just like 10 minutes in class, we're going to do 10 questions on this worksheet, and then your homework is to finish up that Schoology quiz. And that's all I have for you for today.